Good morning, Mike Walsh, and welcome to the morning show. How are you, sir?
Oh, very good, Lenny. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, before we get started, I need to do a little housekeeping. We need to thank Elka Suspension for always being there for myself and everybody else in the industry that wants high quality shock absorbers. If you're looking for a great shock, get a hold of your local dealer, get some Elkas on there. They are dominating most of your series right now, and they have for the past few years. On another note, vacation season is coming to an end. If you're going to get out to Arizona, Nevada, any of the surrounding areas, get yourself over to Antelope Slot Canyon Tours and take a tour. It will change your perspective on the world. It's a beautiful place with beautiful canyons. They change every season. So make sure you get down there, check it out. That's Antelope Slot Canyon Tours. Mike, I appreciate you taking the time for us. I'm going to set this up with our last, 2 weeks ago, we had a show. You and I were supposed to come on the next last Sunday and talk. Unfortunately, we had a disruption. We couldn't do the show. But here we are. We talked about the new machines coming into the industry, the Kahana 500, the KO 300, and anything new. We also brought up the Stark that you're building. And I think that I want your input on the Stark a little more because I have had so many questions from so many people wanting to know, hey, if I buy the Stark from Mike with his chassis, can I bolt my stock suspension components on it and ride it in that fashion? Is that a possibility?
No, it's not at this point. Now you could do A-arms and steering stem and nerfs and all that if you currently had a Gen 2 Walsh hybrid, maybe a CRF or something. The swing arm's different, the chassis is different, the subframe's different.
Okay, so there's a lot of differences with the Stark because it's not Gen 3 really, or it is really Gen 3.
No, the Stark, I am working on a Gen 3, but the current one that I've got just about finished up is a Gen 2, so that's LTR based. Now, if it is a Gen 3 Yamaha, um, yes, the answer to that would be yes. The plan is you will be able to use your A-arms, your steering stem, um, but you won't be able to use your swing arm, unfortunately, just because of the design of the Stark motor and the way the pivot bolt is. And, I know there's been a handful of guys who have tossed Starks into chassis as conversions, and they're not using they're not connecting the swing arm to the motor. So they're putting the motor in front of the swing arm, which makes for a multitude of problems. Um, Obviously, we didn't do that. We kept it attached to the motor, so that's a whole nother conversation. But you will be able to use most of the parts in the Gen 3 and some of the parts in the Gen 2.
Well, that's awesome for the consumer because they're not going to have to spend near as much money as these conversions take hold and start becoming more mainstream. Um, this will help a lot of our customers as far as they're wanting to buy something like this and move forward. Do you think the craze is going to take off? I know you're the spearhead of this whole thing. There's nobody out there doing what you're doing. Will you be the guy that's going to produce this in mass production for the general consumer base?
Well, not to segue on that question, but one of our TT guys who is racing, he's doing the most racing on a Stark right now. It's legal in one of the forms of dirt track racing. And he sent me a video yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday. They did dirt track, big oval, and there was a bunch of 450s, top dirt track guys, and they were doing an oval, and he hole shotted by about two bike lengths, and he pulled the whole race. It was kind of cool to watch, and he won that race. So cool for the start, cool for the movement. Um, it was It made me happy to see that, not because I'm a piston hater, but just because it's so, something new. So will the shop, will Walsh Racecraft? Um, I think we'll be on the I think we'll be doing the most of the early development. Absolutely. You got to realize we've only put out in the 25 years of Walsh Racecraft being open to the general public, we probably only put out about 3 to 400 ATVs, chassis complete ATVs. So it really depends how many people want these things. Mass production, I don't know if I don't think I'd refer to it as mass production, but definitely we will be producing them. And I do think that it is something that I want to do. And I think it's something that's going to be real cool. We're actually building a motocross track right now in back of the facility. And it's funny because we have some neighbors and this and that. And I said, well, all we need is a couple Starks. So um, I think there's definitely gonna be a movement. I don't know how big a movement it will be, but I think that as long as these people let these guys race these things, I think they'll build them because there's just so many advantages.
What's other than the noise and the power, I mean, does it bring down the cost of the overall ATV? Um, you can ride it in your neighborhood, obviously. What are some of the other advantages? Because I'm still on the fence, and I'm not saying I'm against. I'm not saying I'm for. I just, gosh, it's just hard to walk away from all of our gas motors and jump into something that's relatively new that kind of eliminates one portion of the industry.
Yeah, and it will never ever eliminate gas. I mean, gas is what it's about. But I think it's an alternative. I mean, this is kind of gonna sound funny, but just yesterday, I bought my girlfriend a gas power washer and gave it to her, and her son put the oil in it, got it running. I was out doing something else, and then she claimed it blew up. So I still don't know exactly what's going on yet. So I decided, you know what? They make a electric model. I think I'm gonna get her the electric model next time. Take the gas one back because obviously it's a little bit too much for her to handle. So the advantages on electric is honestly one is going to be if you are a person that loves to work on your bike all the time or your ATV, I think this is a massive advantage. If you're not one that wants to change clutches, change oils, um, repack the pipe, put gas in this thing, I think this is a massive advantage for you. Now, is it going to be the advantage for a Joel Hetrick or one of these top racers or race teams? I mean that's all way out in the future. But I mean, for the average dude that wants to moto or have fun in the woods, I think like even like me or an older guy that really doesn't have his life to dedicate to changing top ends and valve springs and doing all this stuff. Not that these motors, these four strokes just immediately blow up or anything, but you do have a lot of parts in there moving. And it's not that you're not going to have problems with the electric, it's just less maintenance. And I think way more simple. I mean, you got a chain, you got brakes, and a throttle. There's really nothing else going on there.
Yeah, so you're just doing chassis maintenance. We're not changing oil. We're not. Can you wash the thing like you would normally
Yeah,
wash
you
your?
wash it. Yeah, it can get wet. I mean, I haven't seen a problem with that yet. I actually did some stuff with TJ Tiffany, which does some, I wouldn't say X Games. He does like some Monster Jam stuff, backflip, stuff like this, runs helps run that circuit for those guys. And he actually brought his Stark and we did a subframe with grab handles and everything on it. So And he ran it and he's like, wow, this thing is like cheating. This thing is it's awesome. I mean, like I said, it's just there's a lot of advantages now. There is some disadvantages. It is a little bit heavier. Um, things of this, the batteries are expensive. I don't know how long they're gonna last. Um, but if you buy a bike, Stark, I mean, these guys literally have a warranty program, which I don't think any other manufacturer offers. Like if you go out and this Stark blows up and whatever, and I don't know what the time frame, a year, I don't know what it is, but they will turn around and you bring that bike back to your dealer and they will put a new motor in that or whatever happened to it and free of charge. I know that's happened to somebody I know actually. Um, and there was no, if you take a CRF 450 and that thing blows up in the first month, I mean, it's on you. Yeah. So I, you're seeing a lot of really cool things here with the Stark.
I want to get into that warranty thing because we've seen dealers or manufacturers come out with machines and they warranty, and then after it starts to grow and gain popularity, the warranty goes away.
I can see that. I can see it going away, actually. Once people know that but they're trying to prove it right now. And so that was something that came to my mind.
Okay, I want to shift gears on you and change it up on you a little bit. I know you probably haven't had hands-on with either of these two models, but I want to get your take on what you think they're going to do to help or discourage people in the industry. The KO 300 is a fuel injected Chinese manufactured ATV that they're bringing in. I believe that it has Raptor 250 dimensions as far as suspension go. We're not 100% positive because nobody's been able to get their hands on one yet. If that comes to be and the Kahana 500 comes out, do you think that there's going to be, other than a recreational impact, do you think there'll be any type of race impact with these two machines?
Absolutely. I definitely do. hmm Anytime you have a manufacturer of any magnitude coming into ATV racing, I think it's fairly substantial. Um, I don't know the numbers of, how many are going to come or whatever, but I think that the AMA and the sanctioning groups and stuff, I think they'll definitely welcome a push like that. I think they have a two-stroke class or will they have an open class that this thing can compete in? I would say they would. Um, will they have, if it is Raptor based, if the Chinese ATV, I the 300, I think they'll be, and that's a great. If that is actually what's going to happen, in my mind, that is amazing for the sport because get these kids in at a young age and you have an OEM ATV you can run and you can buy, that's major because you got guys like Welsh Racecraft and JB Racing and Lone Star, making these chassis and doing this is driving the cost up. I mean, if you're a parent and you want to try racing with your 14-year-old or whatever he's into he loves it or she loves it, to make a commitment of 20 $30,000 is a lot of commitment. But if they can come in if they can come in, with a payment, if they can put down money and make that monthly payment and go racing and try it out and start out, I think that's amazing. And that's one thing that we're missing as a smaller manufacturer is we can't fund this stuff. I mean, and if you don't have access to big money or big money, you can't get a full on 450 or Stark or something. But if this stuff is, I heard on the 500 side of things that they were taking pre-orders. Um, so, and I heard that it wasn't really out of line with the pricing, 18,000 or US or 26 Canadian or whatever. I don't know exact numbers, but I think yes, I think this is going to impact racing on what platform, I don't know. But even though the YFZ-R is an amazing machine, there's always people out there that don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So, will the 500 race against the four stroke? Probably, obviously not. I don't see that happening, but maybe in an open class. So, and who doesn't like a two stroke? So,
So this brings on other questions and so many other things that we are a little delayed on talking about, but as you and I well know, life happens. The live stream that went on at Briar Cliff, I don't know how much you've got to follow the impacts of it or what this can do as far as coverage for the sport. I'd like to get a little bit of your input on it if you're up for that conversation.
absolutely. I have a friend in Portugal. We pretty much talk every day over social media. He's a big fan of ATV racing, US ATV racing. He's also a Mustang fanatic, so we talk cars and stuff, which I'm not a Ford guy, but um,
Mike, I'll still talk to you because of that. It's okay.
but he was telling me about this live stream. I was at the race, and the race had, in my opinion, big numbers. There was a lot of people there, and it was cool to see all those people watching this triple crown and this WMX shootout and just your pro-am classes and everybody there. And I saw Wayne from PEP, which I haven't seen in a long time. He looked great. Talked to him for a long time, just because, I mean, he's one of the pioneers, probably doesn't get enough credit for ATV racing. But yeah, I think this live stream, um, Diego said that um, there was a massive following on this live stream. I don't know how many, about 20,000 people or 10,000 that were viewing or whatever, or what have you. But I think it definitely, because not everybody can make the race, and especially these overseas guys, and for them people to be able to view this race and have good coverage, I think it's definitely really good for the sport.
I'm going to get off track just a second. Is Jeremy Osborne not the leader of promoting ATV motocross right now? He innovates
Well,
everything.
yeah, it's a good thing. Well, and then they had the Legends race. That was what, last year or something, and
Yep.
I went to that. The track, yeah, Jeremy Osborne, yeah, I mean, and his daughter Kensley, the WMX champion. I think they obviously have a lot going on there. I don't personally know Jeremy, but I do know that it seems like a lot of good things are evolving around him. And they had not to get off track, but they had the international race there, which I think Emma placed like fourth in. But it gave people, I mean, you've seen Patrick Torini, um, well, I said, and one of the reasons I went to this race was um, because Jeremy Warnier, a good friend of mine, he's like, "You've got to come. It's Chad's last race." Well, they brought Manford, their rider. So there was a lot of international people there, and so I know it was the last race, but this guy has to have some extreme talent to be getting all this stuff to line up like this, and the success that he's had with his daughter. So, like I said, I'm not huge on the promoting side. I don't know my brain. It works in different. I have other strengths, but I'd say that he is probably doing a lot for the sport right now.
Back on track now to expanding the industry with the access to a live stream. How many more racers do you think we'll get or could get? And do you think we could ever become a mainstream sport with a live stream?
No, I don't think you could become a mainstream sport, but I do think you could easily double the following with it's funny because I love watching I actually look forward to watching the GNCC stuff where I can watch the video and see my racers on a Saturday. It really keeps me connected, and without that, I would miss a lot of it. So having these live streams like this can definitely increase because I mean, like I know this is a little off topic, but when Dirt Wheels was real big, and I mean, I was at the shopping center with my mom, and when I was a kid, and I would want to get the Dirt Wheels magazine and stuff like that. Um, and you dream of one day maybe you could be in that magazine or whatever. But I think the magazine stuff's kind of went unfortunately to the side, but with this live stream stuff. So I think it is a crucial part of something that we're definitely missing.
Well, rough numbers that I've gotten is around 11,000 people watched it. Uh, Also, you brought up Dirt Wheels. Their subscription base is growing monthly. So more people are subscribing to the magazine. So it's actually growing right now in an environment where most magazines are dying off. So they're doing something right. I believe it's all because they're bringing ATVs more to the front than in the past where it was mostly UTV based. But that's just uh, an observation that I have. Um, what do you think about this before we get into our next topic? If they took that live stream and made it a Saturday show where they promoted the 4 or 5 major classes for the industry, for, like the pros, the pro am, the pro sport, and the WMX, maybe one other class, maybe not, and made it a
Oh boy.
show, do you think that would allow it to grow and become more of a entertainment ish series for people to watch?
Yeah, I mean I watch so so I'm good friends with Clay Milligan and I watch the NHRA stuff. I watch down here college football is big, I, you're talking mainstream stuff. I mean, I could go to a restaurant, a sports bar, and I could see Clay Milligan on TV, um, and I could see NHRA and things like this. Like I said, this is over my head. I don't know, this part of it. But if you can get this viewing into the right people's. I mean, this is going to sound really crazy of me to say, but I was on Instagram and I was scrolling through and I seen this guy um, called the Final Boss, and he looks like a Lego character, literally. And I guess he was some Brazilian clubber, and within immediately gained massive success just with a an Instagram or YouTube. I don't know it was definitely Instagram and maybe TikTok post, but stuff can explode. Stuff is just as crazy as some dude that's clubbing, just because he's unique looking. But ATV racing has never exploded like that. I think that we have had a following, but it hasn't had a dirt bike following. I still think, I hate to say this, but I still think the grassroots has to be there. If the grassroots isn't there, it's really hard to sell this as an entertainment package. Is it entertainment? Is it entertaining? Well, to me, it is definitely entertaining. It's funny. I went to the last race and I saw my friend Michael there with his girlfriend, and Michael was Chad Wienen's mechanic. I think the year after I stopped wrenching for Chad. Um, Man, he's got relations to the Baldwin camp, and I saw him there, and he was with his girlfriend, and I could tell his girlfriend was extremely bored. So is it entertaining to me? Yes, it is entertaining to me. I love it, but I don't know until you get this stuff on, if you're sitting in a sports bar and you see Joel Hetrick, jumping these triples and the boys coming out of the hole shot and all that. I mean, and that's right. That's media, right? I mean, I'm not a media guy. I don't know this stuff, but I know, I just seen a thing with Logan Charmeleon. Obviously, I had this Rip It Up shirt on. Shout out to Gloop. But I saw a thing with Logan Charmeleon, and he had it seemed like a very substantial business going for media and stuff. And then the ad looked pretty pricey, and I think that was on Instagram. But so the media side of it is, and I know that you have the podcast, and I know podcasts can be very successful, and you would probably know these numbers and stuff much, what you've gained from your podcast and how it's growing and things like that. But I just feel like until the general public, like you're talking this 300 from China, that's perfect. That is exactly what we need. Now this 500, that's a whole nother story. But if you could get this Chinese-based 300 four-stroke Yamaha chassis, Yamaha-based copy or whatever it is, and it's decent, I think that's a great place to grow the grassroots side of it, which entail, but everything has to grow together, right?
Right. Yes, it does. I agree. And I do know a lot of the numbers. The problem is finding what you call grassroots numbers. It's it's very difficult because there's so much pollution of fake numbers and bots and all these other things. But uh, we need to focus on the basically the base of our sport and let it grow out again. And I think that the 300 live streaming our motocross program in a smaller format is going to help, like they do with GNCC. There's a couple other series that could do things like this as well that would help. But I think we're on the right track. I don't know about you. I know you probably talk to more of the factory guys than I do, but I've heard rumblings there's a 450 out there. Can't
Chinese
release,
450?
can't release anything other than that.
I
So
I I I wouldn't be surprised, but I personally don't know of anything in
I couldn't lock it
there.
down. I couldn't lock it down and give you an exact time, place, anything. Just a little bit of rumblings that have come through the cracks. Um, you know, for lack of a better term, most of everything I hear is embargoed, so I couldn't come out with the whole story, anyways. But it's something's going on back there because there's talk. Usually, when there's talk, something's happening. So I'm hoping that it changes. I want to change it up on you again here. I know that Chad Weenan is a close friend of yours, and you've had a hand in his career. Um, so this is probably a little bit more emotional for you than most people, but we're talking ATV MX is going to take a big hit next year. 5 riders, give or take, are going to walk away from the sport in the pro class. What do you think that's going to do, or what kind of effect do you think that's going to have?
Well, it's a big deal. That's the primary for Joel and for Chad. That was the primary reason why I went to the last race, even though I had to have the agonizing drive of 16 hours in the van breaking down while I missed the podcast. Sat on the side of the road for 5 hours, but it was definitely worth it. The Chad deal is just. It's a unique one. I mean, I can remember Chad when, I mean, I raced against Chad, I think at He was pro-am. I was racing pro-am. It was at Michigan. I believe we were in that race together. It was one of my last races. I went with Creamer, Josh Creamer. And but the and I could remember it. It was right before I moved to Florida. But I the Chad Wienen deal, like I remember him because that's when I was with Lawson and we were chasing them the factory Honda contract and Chad was coming up through the ranks too. I think Jeremy was a little bit ahead of Chad at that point in his career. Jeremy was a prodigy, and he was and Wayne Henson was definitely involved in some of that stuff. But you know, the Weenan deal, there'll be never another situation or career like Chad's. He pretty much, and the way it happened, I mean, he was not raised in ATV racing. I think he played football. Not, I know he was into football
Yep.
heavily, and decided to chase this dream. And it was very emotional. Like I wasn't, in the heat of the moment when all that, and when he pulled that first hole shot, and then, um, sadly for Joel, got tangled up with Kevin Sarr, which was definitely a heartbreaker, for the perfect season. But when Chad pulled that hole shot, and I seen Joel come out of that corner about 30 or 40 seconds down, I just said, I mean, this is just God's plan, man. You can't really fight this one. Yeah, I don't care who you are. Chad Wienen gets out front. Um, he still can ride. It was a big deal. I mean, I kind of already knew he had the overall at that point. It was just kind of going to happen. But the Phoenix boys, Joel ended up winning the next two motos, which was not a surprise. And I think he only lost the race by 1 point or two or something like that, after coming back. But yeah, the Chad Wienen deal is it's very emotional for me and for I think probably a lot of people. But especially for me, like me and Chad, we went kind of way back, and to see him battle as one guy with a family and everything up through the ranks and win like that was a big deal. I mean, I don't think it will ever be that whole deal won't be reproduced ever again, I don't think. And will Joel win 9 championships? I mean, I think it's a good possibility. You can't predict the future, anything could happen, but Chad's legacy will always go down. He will always be one of the greats, if not the greatest, one of the greatest to ever do it. And yeah, going to that last race was a pretty big deal.
Well, answering the rest of my question about the departure of these riders, and to Wesley Wolf and to Bryce Ford and to Jaden Launderville, get well fast, gentlemen. Um, None of us ever want to see a rider get injured or get off, like that. So get yourself back together and let's get this thing rolling, you know. But we're seeing Nick Janusa, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Wesley Wolf possibly, Marshall Smith, and Chad Wienen all take a step away from ATV motocross. And when you have an 18-man field and you take 5 of those guys away, that leaves a big hole. And you're not just taking guys that are, mid pack or farther back out. You're talking about guys that are fan favorites that people go to the races just to watch them. There's people that follow Jeffrey Rastrelli, just waiting for him to make that lunge to the podium again. Same with Janusa. So, and you have a stake in all of this, probably deeper than I do, and I want to know where you think we're going.
Um, the the amount of riders, the amount of quality riders, and not to discredit anybody, that are leaving the sport this year is substantial. I mean, you might look around and say, wow, or you might be nervous if you're a manufacturer or you're involved in the sport, because it's a huge hit. But I don't think this is going to be the norm. These riders are not going to have, they're not going to race into their 30s and 40s anymore, like the Doug Gust, the Joe Bird, the Chad Weenan. Now Joel Hetrick will, because he's writing history and he's making a living doing it. If factory money or money does not come back into the sport to pay these riders will not race past 25 because I'm just throwing out a number 25. I mean, I raced till I was 28, 29. But I had stock in the sport. I was trying to build my business. So I don't see these riders racing. So I think this is going to be normal unless some of the factories come back. And I don't see the factories coming back for one reason, and that the one reason is the sales. I don't believe that there's enough interest in buying sport quads right now. And if there was, I don't think the factories would have left. So I don't mean to be negative, but this is just kind of like 20 years of research, not research, but being around 20, 30 years longer, seeing the sport. So if sales come back, you will see people making ATVs. Now they're probably looking at the Yamaha sales. They're probably like saying, okay, how many 450s did Yamaha sell? And they probably know it's, I don't know, 5,000. I don't know what it is. I have no idea, but I'm sure it's not huge by any means. So it's business, right? You have to be able to make a living. You have to be able to turn a profit, you know. So if they come out with a 450, they need to make money off of it. So they know how many units they have to sell. Uh, Designing and building things isn't easy. So so I don't really see that coming back. But I do know, to answer that same question, I do know that there is probably going to be some very talented pro-am guys moving forward into the pro class. Now, are they going to take the Restrellis? Are they going to take the Janusas? Are they going to be those exact riders? No, of course not. But um, I do know that I know for a fact that there is upcoming talent that is going to fill some of those gates. And now who wants to race against Chad Weenan and Joel Hetrick? I don't know many people. I mean, it's an honor, but I don't know many people. You know, you're going to come in second. You know, you're going to come in third. You're not going to. You're probably not going to win. So, you know, with Chad stepping back, it opens up a podium spot. I think it might breathe a little bit of um, confidence into some of these younger riders that might want to be that next Joel Hetrick or might want to be that next Chad Weenan. So I don't necessarily think it's horrible, but it's sad to see, definitely. But I think it's the reality of what's going on.
Yeah, I've had, behind the scenes discussions with a number of people, and we're all kind of in the same consensus. I'm worried, but this isn't the first time we've had a transition like this. This isn't the first time we've kind of had a mass exodus of riders in a specific premier class that made a drastic impact, and we always seem to survive. Um, I believe that we may see a resurgence in ATV motocross or ATV racing. It's going to take a lot of hard work from a lot of media people and people such as yourself, providing great product, because we're going to be self-supported. Yamaha's doing a great job helping us out, but at some point they might look at the numbers and go, it's ridiculous for us to even do anything.
And that's what happened when the 250R back then in those days when Honda stepped away.
Yeah, and then the industry took over, but the industry had, I would say, a larger growth span with more input, with more people buying the machines. We did more things, and the cost was way lower to build a professional machine. We'll see if we can bring the cost down. I don't see where you're gonna do that, but it's something where the future is going to dictate what happens in the sport and what happens with all of us as far as the people that are building product for the future. You know, your business is, I don't think, totally held up by ATV motocross, but that would be a huge dent, I'm sure, if it wasn't there.
Absolutely. ATV motocross is primarily what we do. Um, getting into the
You're also,
GNCC.
Mike, but you're also developing new things. The Stark is
Yeah.
going to change the dimension, I think slowly, but you will see a dimensional change of people riding that machine in more and more environments. I bring this up every time we talk about electric vehicles. Joe Tall came up with the best analogy. If we want our sport to grow, instead of a corner baseball field, we need to have a corner motocross track with electric vehicles on it, motorcycles and ATVs, and bring these kids back into the sport so that they can see what it's like and how much fun it is to ride these machines.
He's absolutely right. I mean, this stuff it can't be 200 miles off the closest highway. I mean, you have to be able to access this stuff and make it mainstream. If you want it mainstream, you gotta make it mainstream. You gotta have the stuff. We're putting a track. We're off 129, which is growing like crazy in Live Oak. It's just got a Chick-fil-A. I mean, Walmart's on it. Zaxby's is on it. Publix is on it. We're on it actually. We're so that's kind of cool. But Burger King's right next to us. We're putting and Waffle House is actually that's how we got. Shout out to Waffle House. Thanks for the dirt. Actually, we just got 200 loads of dirt from Waffle House, um, dumped in the back on our back 4 acres. Now, what are we going to do with it? I don't know, but I had the opportunity to get it, so we're going to push up a little track and I talked to Michael Rayla. He might end up bringing his bulldozer down or something, but we're going to push up a little safe track, tabletops, nothing crazy, whoop section here or there. Small, very small, but it will be in town, and it will be, um, like a Nick Janusa deal where you have a maybe you have a pit bike race. I don't know. I'm not a promoter. I'm not a track guy. I'm none of that stuff. But to have a track in town, it definitely people see that and it excites them. But um, you know, people have to get excited. How I got into this deal was my dad raced cars and he was always a hot rodder, and I wanted to race something. Is the bottom line. So the only, my dad didn't want me on a motorcycle, and we started looking at four wheelers, and I started buying dirt wheels, and I got excited about it, and that's exactly how it happened. Through dirt wheels. I'm a big dirt wheel supporter, big dirt wheels guy. So, ATV Sport, all the what was out there, and you gotta get excited, and if kids can't walk into a dealership and they can't say, Dad or Mom, I want this vehicle. I mean, where's the excitement? Like you said, the live streaming and stuff, but you got to want to get onto that live stream.
Well, I think that if we promote it correctly, the people that we can catch that are interested, that are riders, will watch, enjoy, and it will start to grow slowly, but it will grow. And that will bring entries, that will bring new followers, that will bring so much more to the sport so we will take off again. It's a slow process. We're almost starting from ground zero and fighting our way back. Even though that there's still thousands of people out doing it, there needs to be tens of thousands of people doing it like there used to be. I know that recreationally, the sport is growing on our side because we were doing a lot of recreational restorations and servicing, and the dunes are filling up with ATVs because people don't like the cost of the UTVs and they want to feel the wind again. They want to ride again and get that adrenaline rush from riding their ATV with that they don't get in their UTV.
Well, and the great, and I don't know who I heard this from, but I heard it from somebody recently. It was a top pro rider, and they said they liked the athletic side of it. Actually, I think it was Bryson Neal. Seeing him at the track. Good seeing you, Bryson. Definitely a top of the line cat. Honored to be a part of your program, but he said that he enjoys the athleticism side of it just as much as the um race the four-wheeler side of it. As far as like he loves the training. He and I used to love that stuff. I used to say because I liked sports. I liked basketball and baseball and stuff, but I wasn't good enough to do that. So then I took my athleticism and crossed it over to riding to a piston driven vehicle, and it was the perfect combination of you had to be an athlete, but you couldn't be afraid of the throttle either. So it was a combination, and I thought I could excel at that. But because everybody's not cut out to be a football star or whatever it is, and that's the sports that you get into when you're a kid. Most people don't get into motocross. It's just how it
I
how
get
it
it.
is.
I get it. It's because there's exposure. They're just not exposed to it the same way. And we have this problem in this country that everything's got to be safe. If everything was
That's
safe,
true.
we go out of our house. Well, you know what? We better just wrap ourselves in bubble wrap and never move because life isn't safe. And there's so many things out there that, we actually live on a death world. Everything out there is trying to kill you. So let's just go have fun and make it our own and enjoy our lives. Mike, we have three different shows. I don't know if you know this. We have an audio show that we air on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's our main podcast show. It does also show up on the weekends on YouTube. You can check that out on ATV Talk, our YouTube channel as well. The podcast is on all your podcast platforms. We do a bench prep conversation live on Instagram. I believe you've been on that before, Mike. And it's a great time. We talk about different things. We talk about the industry or mechanics or just talk about ATVs and racer stories and even some recreational stories just to bring people into awareness of the ATV industry and having a good time. The morning show where we are right now, it's 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a live YouTube show. It's an industry show. I bring people from all walks of off-roading or asphalt racing. It doesn't matter. We want to talk industry because our industry is affected by the automotive industry to a point. So we want to get everything involved and talk about all of it because there is a trickle-down effect. Some people come to our sport because of economics. Some people come to our sport just because they love it. Mike, I believe you came to our sport through asphalt racing, with your father. So this is where it all ties together. So check us out on all of those platforms. And Mike, it's always a pleasure to have you. I appreciate what you're doing for the sport. Keep doing it because innovation is going to take us to the next level. And right now, you are one of the biggest innovators. I don't always agree with everything I see, but I love the fact that you're doing it. I got some fun questions here for you. Just rattle them off really quick as I ask, and the last one's going to take you a little while, but we'll get through it. How's that?
That sounds good.
All right. What's your favorite bike?
Motorcycle?
No, ATV.
Oh, ATV? My favorite, I mean, 250R.
Ah, it's hard not to say that, right?
Actually, it was my 250R with the Gen 1 hybrid with the CRF motor. That was my hands down favorite. It's the one I won Montreal Supercross on and Anaheim. That was my favorite. It was that the CRF, but it was 250R based. So I answered 250R.
Perfect. What's your dream race?
I mean, I really enjoyed the 12 hour the Ponte. That was cool. That was really cool because it was fast. It wasn't a one-hit wonder where if you didn't get a good start, you couldn't. It was just Ponte was cool, and it's cool because we got some Americans going over there right now. We got Chad, we got Nick. There's more that we got. Phoenix as a team. Those guys are going over there. I think it's mainly back to GNCC guys, but I think that's a really cool race. So for me, I mean, I know it's overseas and it's not in America, but that was a cool race.
Well, I had Braxton Gross, Walker Fowler, and Cole on. That's a team that's going over to Pondevu. And Walker Fowler reached out to me after the show that we did live on Instagram. And where he was, the Instagram show was on the TVs in the bar.
No way. Now
Yes.
that's what we need. That's cool.
Yeah. So I don't know how they did it. My daughter tried to explain it to me, but yeah, that's not my gig. I don't know anything about that. But it was pretty cool that the local area where Walker Fowler was figured out how to air that bench prep conversation live in their bar. And I
That's
guess from what
cool.
Walker said, it got, the people were all into it and really enjoyed it.
Well, they're probably Walker fans too if it's his hometown.
I believe so. I mean that,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean it's kind of hard not to be a Walker fan. The guy's pretty good rider and a nice guy.
Yeah, I haven't had the ability I've honestly I don't think I've ever even waved to him, but because that's rare. I do know a lot of people in the industry, but Walker just wasn't one of them. But I hear from everybody about how cool he is. But I say he can't be, all that cool because he doesn't ride our parts. So
Nice plug, Mike. So, hey, before I let you go, what do you think about what would be the best advice you could give for new team owners? Not just new riders, but new team owners, people that are developing new teams.
Well, the best advice would be you have to have a vision and stick to it. I mean, you're not going to get these instantaneous results. I mean, if you want to look at a platform, look at David Eller. You look at Chad Wienen's platform. I mean, but as a team owner, I mean, there's so many things that go into that, and I would say, be careful with your money. It sounds crazy, but I've seen a ton of people come into the sport and hit it really hard, and they're gone because they go too big too fast. I think you want to, get in there and kind of grow slowly and grow with the sport because you don't want, you gotta, hopefully your vision isn't 1 or 2 years. Hopefully you're going to build this team over, 5 to 10 years or something. And you're going to, and the other thing is you got to choose a really good engine program. Um, and components and invest in your team like it's a business. Not, I don't want to say not to make friendships, but everybody in this industry, I think, is capable of being a good person and a good, you're gonna, I mean, like JB is probably one of our competitors, if you will. I mean, I say I'm buds with JB to a certain degree. He's a good guy. A lot of people like him. So I think that you got to look at this as a business, because at the end of the day, it is a business, and you can't, because if you don't spend your money wisely, because, and I say money, and I don't want to say money like the sport revolves around money, because that's not good, but without the money, you're not going to be able to continue.
It is a business too, and it does have to be treated as such. Um, that I know I was going to let you go, but I got one more question. Do you believe that working with what other people see as your competitors is a benefit to the sport and benefit to your consumers?
Um, like I said, I would say that I was friends with, I wouldn't say like friends, but I would say that I'm definitely pretty open guy to a certain degree, and I I knew talk with Jeff Hauser, Dan from Lone Star. Actually, I worked with Dan from Lone Star when we had the race team. I was working on their axle program with them. Kind of with we were running their axles for a certain amount of time. Um, I don't think that I'm necessarily working closely with any aftermarket component manufacturers out there, but um, I like to try to stay on the forefront of product development if possible. So so no, I don't think it would be necessarily a great thing to share information. I think you got to be a little bit, but for the sport, if you're sharing some information, the sport is going to grow. It's kind of like this. I don't want to say it, get my words tangled up here, but and there's been plenty of companies. It, I hate to kind of like publicize this. I don't really want to do that, but Um, a lot of the components that are being used at a very high level right now, I don't want to say they're interchangeable, but they have a lot of similarities. And what that lets people do is it lets the people take this technology and go to the forefront faster because it's available to everyone. Now you're seeing everybody with a YFZR right now. They're all making 60 horse. They all got great suspension. So that platform has exploded um, because of the shared, if you will, knowledge. Not that it was freely shared, but it was available to almost everybody. So I think it's helping the sport. I don't necessarily think it's helping the individual company.
Yeah, I can see that. I just know that you've worked on projects with other manufacturers, and that's why I asked that question. Um, you know,
Yeah, I mean, as far as like I worked on a lot of projects with larger manufacturers like Can-Am, Suzuki, Cowie, when everything was growing. We were doing a lot of linkage stuff, A-arms, all this stuff with the factories. But now the the industry, like we've just talked about, it's not dead, but um it's taken a couple steps back. And like you said, we're at like ground zero. Where are we going to go from here? And we'll see. Like you said, and we didn't touch on this, and I kind of wanted to touch on this just a little bit, is this new 500 two-stroke that you had that people have been talking about. I think this is really good even for us because we have the Panther, the 600 with the the electric start and the counterbalanced motor. We actually have that thing on the last weld table. So that will be coming out. And I think like there's a lot of things that they did on that 500 that I definitely don't agree with, but I still think it's really cool that somebody is doing this. And when you say cut the cost of ATV racing, the two-stroke motor and maybe even the electric, both of them I think would be much cheaper than the four-stroke motor to run at a very high level. So that could be a possibility of cutting costs, yearly costs for ATV race teams.
I totally agree with both. I totally agree with both of that because I think the motor packages for the pro class and some of the pro sport and some of the amateur stuff is just astronomically too high. And if we can drop the price down, I think we're going to get more people in the industry. Aftermarket chassis are probably going to take off. There might be some more competitors out there with you or for you, because the industry will change. We're just gonna have to wait and see, Mike. We're just gonna have to wait and see, brother, because lots of things are going to happen, and I think it's gonna grow. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere because there's too much passion behind it, and there's too many people that love to ride ATVs. But
Yeah, I mean, it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's never going anywhere. What type of success that it has is going to fluctuate. But will there be people racing ATVs and riding ATVs forever? Absolutely. I 100% agree with anybody who says that. I mean, it's not leaving. Where I'm not even nervous. I mean, the thing that I look at is myself, my company, the people in my company. That's our biggest competitor is ourselves. The day to day, where our vision is. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Are we focused? What's going on? And I'll tell you what. I've gotten, I'm 49 now, and I've gotten off the beaten track, been able to hold it all together. But if I get fired up, um, it's gonna be it's gonna be cool because if I get fired up and get really really after something, in this ATV game, I think we could come to the table with some really cool stuff, especially now, like you're talking about with the chassis wars, with things heating up maybe in the future. You're gonna have to be on your game. There's gonna be young blood. There's gonna be. I mean, I remember when I was 20, one, two, three, four, five, six, and wanting to, get my name out there. So I mean, you've seen some newer component companies kind of come up, but nothing really, nothing really caught fire yet. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, I know Lone Star was big into the UTV stuff for a minute. Um, they have a good product. Roll's got a great product. I mean, Hauser's got a good higher volume product. Um, there's people out there making stuff. I mean, you're seeing the titanium craze come. A lot of people investing in titanium. We're doing a bunch of titanium subframes. So there's upper A arms and stems. It's continuing. Like it might not be growing in some of the ways that we think it should grow, but it ain't gonna go anywhere, I don't think.
right, I totally agree. Mike, where can people find you on social media?
Well, I like to go to Instagram, and that's my favorite. That's my go-to. So um I think it's Walsh RC 1997. Um that would be and then I also do TikTok. Uh TikTok's pretty decent, but the go-to is definitely Instagram. I am on Facebook too, but I I only like kind of like post to Instagram and Facebook at the same time, kind of throw it out to both. I don't really go on Facebook much because I just it's hard for me to navigate around and stuff. But I prefer the Instagram. But yeah, I mean, those three platforms, I don't do X yet, or I don't do any, none of that stuff. We're on YouTube at a smaller platform. We're on YouTube, trying to do some stuff over there, but that has been slow to take off. So, and also you guys could look at the website if you can buy right off the website if anybody and those orders get processed fairly quickly. So yeah, those platforms.
It's difficult to keep up with it all. As far
Yeah.
as order base goes, manufacturing is a lot harder in today's world because of workmanship, well, not workmanship, but manpower. It's harder to find people that really want to do what we do. Um, it's a different world. There's not a lot of young blood that I see coming into the sport, especially on the manufacturing side.
Yeah, there's not. There's a one guy that's doing a little, one or two guys that's doing a little bit of something in MX, but I'm with you. It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
It is. Brother, I appreciate your time. Please let your family know I appreciate them allowing you to come on the show and take up their Sunday. Everybody out there that's listening and in the chat, thank you so much. Check out Walsh Racecraft. Make sure you get your subscription to Dirt Wheels, ATV On Demand, UTV On Demand, ATV Talk. Subscribe where you can. Follow as often as you can. Please smash the like button. There are some videos. I have been watching them, Mike, on YouTube. So that's where I catch you. It just pops up in my feed. I check it out. I've been watching the Stark growth, and I'm going to keep watching that, and we'll keep talking about it because not that I'm an electric guy fan. I just feel that it could revolutionize our sport in ways that nobody's prepared for.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Lenny, and back to your family too, and Lauren and your shop and everything that's done a ton in the early days for the sport. We definitely appreciate all that, and you're still doing it. And there's not a lot of people that can say that.
We'll be 50 years old in 27.
Duncan, yeah, I mean Travis Fader, Doug Eichner, Duncan, Tavis Kane. I mean Chad Lohr, Duncan's a big deal, man. We know you guys were going over to Ponte Vu first, right? Like
Yes.
before anybody.
First time over there was in 91.
There you go. Yeah.
90,
So
excuse me. And then we won
yeah,
in 93.
yeah, it's definitely cool stuff. And that legacy, that history is cemented in the sport. So um definitely cool.
Mike, you've been around a long time as well as with us. And I don't know what it is, but my brother and I are busier than we were in the 90s and early 2000s now. We
Yeah,
now
I believe
Something
it.
kind of new. I don't know. I don't know where it's all coming from, but we have just an unbelievable amount of business. And the thing I have to tell people is I'll be more than glad to do your work. I would love to build that machine for you. Be patient and don't push. We will get it done. You will love it. I just can't do it in a hurry. I don't have 50 guys. My
Yeah.
brother and I do 98% of it ourselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a unique niche at what we all do in this passion that we have. And then people will criticize and tell you where you're making your mistakes, but we're the only ones doing it. So just keep doing it to the best of your ability, and it will keep going on and on.
I love the critics. Hey, come and show me how to do it better, please. Bring yourself down. You know where I'm at. I'm not going to argue with you. Come on down and show me how to do it better. Uh,
Right.
and you know what? I'll be honest with you. There's a couple guys that I didn't think could teach me anything have taught me things. And you just you learn from everybody. And as you get older, which you know this, as you've gotten older in the sport, there are things that we can learn. Yeah, we thought we knew everything when we were young and dumb and energetic. But as you get older, you step back and you have a better vision of so many different things and so many different technical ways to do stuff that your knowledge base grows and your ability to soak that up and adapt it to what you do. It's super valuable. Super valuable.
Oh yeah, you're never gonna stop learning. It's you're gonna, keep growing. The only thing that's gonna stop you or anybody is yourself. It's the man in the mirror, as Jackson would say.
Right on, brother. Right on. Hey, Mike, again, I appreciate all your time and everything that you do for the sport. So keep it up. Keep us posted on that Stark. If Walsh Racecraft ever needs any help with posting things or getting stuff out on social media, ATV Talk is here for you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be more than glad to help you guys in any way possible.
I appreciate it. Lenny, good talking to you this morning, and I hope your day goes well.
You too. Have a great week. Keep pounding them out. And hey, guys, if you're looking for that electric quad, stay on Mike Walsh's page and check it out.